My name is Betsy Timmer, and I'm a visual artist. I make large-scale sculptures, three-dimensional wall pieces, and everything in between. I also have an ongoing photo series that involves staging miniatures. All of the work I do involves found objects. Here's a glimpse into my studio. I go to thrift stores and estate sales, searching for raw materials and inspiration for my work. I also use objects that accumulate and filter in from my own life. I'm fascinated by the things that share our space. I think of the objects that surround us as artifacts from our lives. I collect old dishes, clothes, hair, string, linens. In some cases, I transform the materials themselves into my artwork. In this sculpture, called Rag Rug, I braided and stitched together old sheets, tablecloths, curtains, and other fabric to make a hybrid rug and dress form. Sometimes the found objects I collect provide inspiration, but aren't actually used in the final artwork. The idea for this piece, called MOM, which is a play on the distress call SOS, came from the vintage child's life preserver you see in the upper left that I picked up at a yard sale. Whether I manipulate the objects themselves or just use them for inspiration, I often find myself making characters. I personify objects everywhere I go. Maybe that's why I'm so attracted to using them in the first place. The characters I create usually are sort of funny or at least have a sense of humor. I think that this subtle humor and playfulness makes my work more approachable. In this piece called Bear, this hand-felted, soft, naked, awkward, goofy form is somewhat disarming and gives me a starting point for a more serious conversation about women's roles and body image. All of the work I make is fueled by my day-to-day life. I try to capture and record my experiences, not as though my artwork is a journal, but as if I'm contributing to a larger conversation. I see myself and other artists as cultural workers, recording and responding to the times in which we live. These days, I find myself really interested in homes, neighborhoods, and communities. When I walk around the block, I think about what is going on inside of all of the houses that I pass. Everyone's lives are just as full and complicated as my own. Everyone has their own unique and amazing story. I'm also really interested in the idea of the facade, what we put forth and expose about ourselves versus what is really going on inside. This happens with our homes and our neighborhoods, but it also happens with our virtual selves, what we put out there about ourselves online versus what is going on in our heads. Another important theme in my work is time. I'm keenly and even painfully aware of passing time. I see it in crumbling concrete, peeling paint, ever-lengthening hair, and growing babies. This piece on the right is made up of old baby clothes. They're piled up like sedimentary rock to make a landscape. This piece, called Passing, is inspired by how fast time seems to go now that I'm a mom. To make this project, I scanned my son's old baby clothes, printed the patterns on tissue paper, and then carefully applied them to fallen cotton with leaves. With this piece, I'm trying to capture the beauty and also the sadness of this passing season of my life. As my awareness of time has grown, I find myself questioning my priorities and my roles and my motivations. I'm asking all the time, what truly matters to me? What has real and lasting value? What am I working toward? This piece is called Winnings, and it was fueled by these thoughts. When I became a mother, I discovered an incredible capacity for fear and worry within myself. Life is totally fragile and can change in an instant. This piece, it's called Looming, is about living with the uncomfortable feeling that something terrible could happen at any moment. Continuing is coming from the same place. How do we go on? How do we keep moving forward when we watch the news and read about the world? How do we continue when things aren't going as we planned or as we dreamed? Continuing is about not being paralyzed by fear and worry and disappointment, but instead focusing on the day-to-day and moving ahead. This final piece, Dwelling, is just a couple months old. It incorporates many of these themes and ideas: interior versus exterior, worry, and living with tension. Thank you for listening, and if you'd like to see more of my work or get in touch with me, please visit my website, betsytimmer.com. Thank you.